Welcome back. It's now time for us to get into the discussion this morning, being Wednesday, and of course, as a viewpoint, I want us to take a look at a lot of issues, starting with the elections in Tanzania, what is happening across our border, being the East Africa Community member state, of course, concerns being raised over President Samia Suluhu and everything that is happening in that country, the Electoral Commission in that country, the observers also raising some of the concerns, as well as the detention of opposition leaders and some of the dissenting voices in Tanzania. We want to talk about that, and of course talk about as well as what is happening in the country, state of the nation, and see where we are as a country. Let me start first of all with front page of the Daily Nation. Before we get to our discussion, my guest already in studio, introduce them shortly. Samia eyes history as Tanzania votes. Samia eyes history as Tanzania votes. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. That is what is here. It's the president is defending seat that she inherited from John Pombe Magufuli, who died in 2021. All right. So more than 37 million Tanzanians head to the polls today in a contest that President Samia Suluhu Hassan is widely expected to emerge victorious. While the election is historic, Tanzania could formally elect its first female president. It is also clouded by competing narratives, especially regarding the fairness of the campaign, detention of opposition leader Tundu Lissu, and the integrity of the electoral process. That is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still there, sad news there. Trip to Masai Mara luxury camp ends in tragedy for tourist and pilot after an aircraft that left Diani Airport in Kwale County for Amboseli and Masai Mara crashed shortly after takeoff, and all the 11 passengers on board unfortunately lost their lives. That is what's all there. All the passengers and the pilot died. That brings the total number to 11 on board. EACC recovers 2.8 billion shillings Karura land allocated to J.J. Kamodho. It is now, it's been a court case for close to 18 years. MPs question Ruto's 1.5 trillion infrastructure fund plan. MPs question Ruto's 1.5 trillion infrastructure fund plan. Okay, that is on the front page of the Daily Nation. And finally, the wreaths, quote unquote, the wreaths problem at Raila Odinga's grave. More than a week after his burial on October 19th, visitors are still laying wreaths on Raila's grave, forming a tiny hill of beautiful flowers that cost thousands of shillings, and now forcing workers to clear them every 2 days. That is what is here on the front page of the Daily Nation. Before I continue, allow me to introduce my guests. They are not new to Jerusalem, as I said. Wilson Sossion is a former nominated member of parliament, as well as former NAT Secgen, and Professor Alfred Omenya, principal researcher and a consultant. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Always a pleasure.
Asante sana. Wilson Sossion, you've not said good morning, have you?
Oh, good morning, Victor.
You're a teacher.
I was listening to the good professor.
I get it. Getting the cue from him. Good to have all of you on set.
Yes.
We've not been here for quite some time. I think let me just start with you, Sossion. And you are all leaders in your own capacity. And I think it's just good to, now that this is the first time we are meeting in 2 weeks after the passing on of Raila Odinga. Sossion, you are a member of ODM at some point. I think it's just fair that you did the just it's needed. Go ahead.
I think the news about the death of Raila Odinga,
yeah.
I got it when I left the studio immediately 2 weeks ago. And of course, I've always said, and I still say Raila Odinga is the best president that Kenya never had. And he's a towering leader above almost all the former presidents. His image is larger, and his ideals and beliefs, which resonates to the hearts of many.
Yeah.
And this is one leader who was honest to the core, very honest to the core. And therefore his legacy will live on for a long time, and we will see the institution that he has been running, like ODM, for example, which has got very strong internal democratic structures, will stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And the democracy we have in Kenya, we owe it to him. And maybe Raila was the last political prisoner of the politics of yesteryears, which are still very dominant within the region. And you look across our neighbors, the level of democracy indeed is so low. But here in Kenya, we enjoy absolute freedom.
Yeah.
We have a very progressive constitution, and we have very progressive politics indeed. Issue-based politics, devoid of hatred. And I think for the last couple of years, particularly the last general election, the elections of this country are drifting away from being ethnic-driven to issue-based and more national in character. And we believe with time we'll be able to achieve this. And those are the benefits and fruits of Raila Odinga. At least in his lifetime, he achieved what he wanted for the country.
Personally, as a person, he achieved what he wanted.
In his lifetime,
Yeah.
he achieved what he wanted for the country.
Okay.
And everybody in this country understands him. And everybody in this country believes in his ideals and would like to implement his ideals, right from government and everywhere. And you know, when you see the president giving him state funeral of its kind, and when you look at the engagement and the establishment of the broad-based government, the close consultation, very close relationship with the president, until you even can't believe they were rivals in the last election. Within the third year, you can see people are working together. And that's the spirit of politics and the brand of politics that we need to play. Look at across our neighbors. The opposition figures are in jail within our neighbors. You see how authorities perceive other political individuals in adversarial.
Yeah.
But you see what we have here within the country is that we perceive ourselves as gentlemen, and the country comes first.
Okay.
And I think we have achieved it as a country. The only challenge is how much can we preserve and grow these great political ideals so that it can advance our democracy.
All right.
May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Okay, Prof.
No, thank you very much, Victor and Mheshimiwa Session. I want to make just a couple of points about Raila, but from a totally different angle. And I agree 100% that Raila is the greatest leader that Kenya never had, the continent never really had, the best president we never had. I come from Bondo, myself, Raila's place. So by extension, I'm Luo.
Yeah.
And one thing that I can tell you, we quietly used to be very, very jealous about, was that whenever Raila got a position, the chances that that position would go to a Luo was almost always nil. Raila always first and foremost thought of other Kenyans. You know how government has been shared in this country?
Yeah.
Everybody shares positions on the basis of their ethnicity. Raila was not that type of a person, and is on record. The sort of people that he enabled to access positions, he was always trying to ensure that every Kenyan was represented, including even broad-based. He only had a couple of chances, but if you check how those chances were distributed, there were people from as far as Turkana, people from the coast, people from, Western Kenya. And of course, the Luo ethnic community. Yeah, so I think he's actually one of those people who actually practiced, who fought tribalism at a personal level and at the level of conviction. And we see that all the way till inside his family. We see that all the way in terms of those who are closest to him, those who worked for him, the lawyers and so on. You see the face of the country around Raila. In fact, we're just joking the other day that when somebody was claiming that some member of parliament was not born in that area, we were saying, does it really matter? Raila has encouraged us to elect, people of Indian extractions and Somalis and so on inside of Nyanza, and for us that's a norm. Yeah. And I think that's a major thing that we need to look at. That we need to honestly start dealing with matters tribalism. The second point I want to make, again linked to the person of Raila. This was in Copenhagen, 2010. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Raila had just become Kenya's Prime Minister. There was disarray in the negotiations there. The presidents were disagreeing. The late Meles Zenawi, President Zuma, President Abdullahi Wade, quite a number of people were actually disagreeing. And there was a big, international uproar about confusion in Africa. And Raila arrived. He was not a president. Raila actually arrived, and all the negotiators from the continent and the ministers went to meet him, and he rallied everybody and told them, look here, we are Africans, we are all the same people, we must be able to speak with one voice. And the truth of the matter was that the African group came together on that day and continued with negotiations. So he was a leader, he was a moral leader. He was a leader that people could listen to because of what he stood for, and not necessarily because of the position that he held. And I found that very, very fascinating. In fact, during that time, we had two Kenyans. Wangari Maathai, of course, had won the Nobel and was in that particular group, and Raila was there. And of course, our own President Kibaki was there. But I was very, very proud as an African, seeing Africans and our people, being led by a moral leader, who has not actually even been asked to lead, but people are demanding that show us the direction. There was as Africans. So definitely, we've also lost a big Pan-Africanist, and he's actually one of those presidents, leaders, who are genuine friends across the continent. We are seeing wives of former presidents coming to see him. We are seeing his friend Obasanjo mourning him here. It wasn't just a formal state function. It was genuine friendship across the continent over the years. In fact, we're not the widow of the late Magufuli. He built real relationships across the continent and across the world. In fact, starting from India, where he passed on. Yeah. So really, I mean, my bigger point here is that yes, after the mourning is coming down, we need to reflect on the ethos of this great leader and see how we can actually inculcate that amongst the leadership that we have currently, so that we shift from pettiness of ethnicity and primitive accumulation that is actually driving most of the politics across the continent. Thank you, Victor.
Mheshimiwa Sosyan, what do you have on the front page of the Star newspaper?
What is on the Star? Ex-governors owe millions in mortgage loans. And the experts probe Kwale plane crash as Kenya mounts. That is what is on the front page. What do you make of that? Well,
and of course, there's a photo.
Professor Menyas just.
There's a photo down there. You're not yet through with the front page. There's a photo there of the aircraft that went down.
Yeah, of the plane that went down.
Okay.
And you remember the weathermen had forecasted very strong winds along the coast, and for the winds to bring down a fixed wing plane, then it means the winds must have been very strong.
Very heavy.
And I think, to me, the aviation industry and authorities around Mombasa should not let planes take off when there are very strong winds. Don't you think this could have been avoided? Yeah, because I believe planes take off through guidance from aviation officials.
All right. Okay.
It's sad. We lost lives of tourists who were headed to Mara.
Great. Okay, joining us in studio is Ezekiel Kamwaga. Ezekiel, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Ezekiel Kamwaga is a Tanzanian journalist and a political analyst joining us on set, having in mind that back home we have got elections.
No, to Mr. Gaston, the leader from Congo, DRC.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been invited to discuss about African elections,
Yes.
especially what's happening in Tanzania.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
No.
We'll get to that shortly. All right. Based on that, Prof, started on the front page of the that's Daily Nation. Standard.
This Standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's on the front page?
Front page here has a very familiar lady in military fatigues, SS Hassan, and it says Samia versus Suluhu.
Okay.
Yes, I think the Standard is telling us something about the Tanzanian elections. The election seems to be between two very powerful candidates, one called Samia, the other one called Suluhu. So we don't know the direction is likely to go. Yeah, but definitely, I mean, it is very. I think this lady is likely to win.
Two strong ladies.
Two strong ladies.
Samia and Suluhu.
It is Samia versus Suluhu.
Yes.
And I think it is sad that we are in this sort of situation in the East African region. The last time that we actually had elections in the region. Of course, Uganda has its own history, but the last time we had non-elections in the region was really a very long time ago. Including in Kenya here. Yes, I mean the reason why elections get contested heavily in Kenya is because they're true competitions. And Mwalimu here knows, for example, that before the final count of Kenyan election was done, we had no idea who would be president. And anybody between the two candidates could have been president. And for us, that's a beautiful thing about our democracy. That now you have non-elections, if I can call them that way. Elections, I mean laughable elections where you even wonder why people need to do elections. You might as well just announce the results. It's like playing soccer against yourself or running a race of 100 meters and you're the only competitor. I mean, why do you need to run? You might as well just get the trophy. Yeah. Because it's obvious that you're the one who's going to win. So definitely, I think part of the messaging that we are seeing here is that Tanzania has gone backwards. And Tanzania was our big brother, really, with all factors considered. Tanzania was stable long before Uganda was stable, long before DR Congo was stable, long before even Kenya here, was actually stable. They're running a very unique political system that was actually very stable. And that stability
what do you make of that? Samia versus Suluhu. Right. What do you make of that headline? It has a statement.
Correct.
Yeah.
Basically, it means that she has cleared everybody. She has ensured that the competition is such that there can only be one outcome. That she gets elected.
Okay. In the inner pages of the Star, Mheshimiwa, there's a cartoon there. You see
Tanzania
the cartoon?
design.
Please just raise it up for the cameras, if you don't mind.
Yes, for the cameras. Yeah.
Yes.
There are four ladies.
The four ladies running
in the race.
Yes.
One is Mama, another one is Samia, another one is Suluhu, another one is Hassan.
And there's a game starter. I think that's the referee,
the referee,
and the ballot box.
The ballot box.
Yeah, with the starting gun. Okay.
I think
four ladies on the race and on the lane.
I think Victor.
Allow me to take a break. I want to serve you tea.
I think Victor.
I want to serve you tea. Okay. I want to serve you coffee. We'll get back to that after this. Stay with us.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
All right, welcome back. So,
Let it be open.
okay, the conversation continues. You wanted to continue with the conversation.
Victor,
so go ahead.
I wanted to contribute. I think the media are presenting the Tanzanian democratic level in a very apt way. For us to liberate this continent economically, we must repackage the politics of the continent and promote true democracy. There is everything in democracy. The foundation of good economic policies, the foundation of any form of development of any country is founded in democratic structures and democratic policies. So when you look at what is being presented about Tanzania today, it is common knowledge that Tundu Lissu, the most formidable opposition figure who could have given Suluhu Hassan a run for her money, is jailed. And is not in the elections. We see in Uganda, Kizza Besigye is also jailed. I can imagine in 2022, if William Ruto was jailed also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because as a fact, William Ruto was not within the frame of government.
And it could have happened.
And it could have happened if he was jailed. I could imagine in 2013, 2017, if Raila Odinga was jailed.
Correct, sir.
In 2013, if Raila was jailed. 2007, if Raila was jailed. You know, a leader is a citizen and a representation of the people who follow that leader, regardless of the number.
Exactly.
Whether there are 2 or 3 people, you must respect. And respect for democracy by governments in Africa, I think should be revisited. If you're a leader who has been sworn in and you're a president in charge of a democratic and free country in Africa, you must also respect the democratic practices and respect the democratic institutions. Allow people to exercise their sovereign will. The people will be able to exercise their sovereign will when they are given unlimited latitudes to make their choices. But where we can imagine if free and democratic processes were allowed in Tanzania, maybe Tundu Lissu could have been elected as president. The way in 2022, you can imagine if William Ruto was arrested. He couldn't have been elected as president, but we allowed free and democratic and independent processes, which gives us respect after elections. And even the competitors are able to engage. And this is where we've outgrown many democracies as Kenya, because the people themselves struggle for it. We struggle for it, and we are sustaining it. And I think what we are seeing across the borders is sickening. It is not good for the continent.
Before I cross over to Tanzania, allow me to ask you, Gaston. Gaston, it's going to be historic because Mama Samia is vying for the first time.
Yes.
And going to go to the ballot, you know, an election after 2021, passing off of Pombe Magufuli. But then when you look at it, a majority of Kenyans or East Africans or Tanzanians would say that it's not going to be so democratic, because when you have got other opposition leaders jailed, then that is not an election, it's not a contest.
Okay, I think I'm going to join again Mwalimu here. It's something in Africa which is very deplorable, unacceptable in Africa, especially in the region of the EAC, the East African communities. Our leaders and the former leaders have to sit down and try to make a way to avoid this arrest in Africa. It doesn't building a better future for Africa, especially for the Eastern Africa.
Yeah.
As Mwalimu says, Tanzania was a very good example for almost the whole Africa. It has been stable politically for the quite long, as we know, both of us. I think it has something to deal with the mentalities and the conservatives of those ones that can be the team of advising to our leaders in Africa, and especially in the Eastern African communities. That is my view. It has to do with that, because jailing somebody is not there any other leaders that can also bring their support to help for the other opponent to not be jailed. I think they should be such, because we have Eastern communities, very big communities with matured leaders. As you know, there should be some elders capable to bring their advice. You know, I know they will say it's a way to enter in the domestical issues or whatever. It's not about it. That one we are called the Eastern African communities. That one we are called brothers and sisters, because we need to bring to one another an advice. You know, we are not brothers just to see each other. Hey, jambo baba, karibu kwetu. Hapana. See, you must help each other. Must help each other with advice. I hear from Mwalimu saying that Ifri Hali was being arrested in 2013. What was going to happen? He was being buried with dignity, with a proper honor. Yeah. Because he's been forever an opponent to the government, and then on his burial we were all surprised. And I would love to thank the government of Kenya for the Rally's funeral. That was one of the biggest things they have done so far in this country, which we can all congratulating them, especially on a person like Rally, you know.
All right. So let's go to Tanzania and join our colleagues there via Zoom. Let them give us basically a feel what is happening across our borders. I'm joined by Faraja and Ezekiel to just give us an insight. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us from Tanzania. It's a very historic day across our borders, and of course we wish you all the best. But let me start with you, Dr. Faraja. What should you expect? A lot of eyes are now in Tanzania, first of all. And Mama Samia Suluhu in Kenyan tabloids here, is said that she's running against herself. I would say, or what would you say, is this a real picture when it's come to enhancing democracy in a nation that has matured democratically speaking?
Yes, democratic growth in Tanzania is a long process. It has taken us almost 30 years to build our democracy, and it was expected that this year maybe we will demonstrate that we are mature democratically. But unfortunately, what we see in the streets, what we see in the whole process of election in our country this year, seems there's more needed to improve our democracy. There are some political parties, opposition political parties, almost two, they didn't field the presidential candidates. One party refused to participate, and the other party, the candidates removed from the race. So, and that's why there's this joke in Kenya that it is Samia versus Suluhu. It's because the other candidates from the opposition parties are not so strong to contest or to compete with the incumbent president from the ruling party, and that's the picture we have. And unfortunately, the other thing that we have observed is the threats, the security threats. Maybe it has put fear into the citizens, and they are now avoiding voting. And some of them are saying our candidates are not in the ballot papers. Why are we going to vote? Because we don't see our candidates in the ballot papers, and that's the reason why they are not going to vote today. It's because their candidates are not in the race. That's the picture I'm trying to get.
Okay. And when it comes to muzzling the voices, the dissenting voices in the opposition, when that happens, my guest in studio have just said that imagine that happened in Kenya. I would imagine what is happening in Tanzania, and what is the general feel amongst the followers of the opposition?
The general feel that the followers of the opposition is that they were deprived of their right to participate in the democratic process. They were deprived of right to have their candidates in the ballot papers. They were deprived of their rights to demonstrate their feelings against the process itself, against the abductions, forced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings that have been happening in our country, and mostly targeting the opposition politicians. And so that's the feeling they have, and it seems like it's the process is dominated by the ruling party, and the other candidates have not been given an equal opportunity to participate.
Yeah.
As a result, it seems like the government decided to cover up this issue by conniving or by canvassing the weaker political parties to participate, just to demonstrate to the world that there is a democratic process, while in fact these other political parties that are participating are hardly known to the public. That's the challenge we see.
Okay, let me talk to Ezekiel. Ezekiel Kamwaga is a journalist there. Ezekiel, thank you so much for joining us. Let me ask you, how unique was the campaigns in Tanzania?
Oh, thank you so much. And I think I need to say two things first before I respond to a very good question. One, I've been listening to this show from the beginning, and I've been reading some online stuff, especially from the Kenyan online personalities. And there are two things that are not really correctly reported. The first thing is, in Tanzania, the main opposition party is Chadema. That is the main opposition party. But Chadema made the decision not to participate in this election. So it wasn't like CCM or the government said maybe they have jailed Tundu Lissu when he was about to contest. No. What happened is Chadema decided not to participate in this election because they say our country needs some electoral reform. They say as it is in Tanzania, it is very difficult for them to compete with CCM. So they say, you don't make the changes, then you are not participating in this election. And that is how they came up with what they call no reforms, no election. That they will stop this election, they will make sure that this election is not really done, and then they won't participate. So Tundu Lissu was taken to court for treason charges, which we can talk about later, but it was after his party decided not to participate in the election. So now, if you are the main opposition party in the country, and you have decided not to participate in the election, how can you say now they are not competitors? Because you are the competition, and you have decided not to contest. And the other thing that is not really speaking about in the media or other people since the beginning of this show is the fact that CCM is still a very strong political party. So it isn't like CCM is a party that has no followers, etc. For someone who have been watching the political rallies that have been happening in Tanzania, you will see huge number of people following the meeting, following the President Sabia's rally, which means CCM still has a lot of supporters. And if you talk about, let's say, the strength of the other opposition, let's say I've also spoken about the other party known as ACT Wazalendo, whose candidate was also removed from the ballot. What people are not saying is the person that has caused ACT Wazalendo not to participate was one of their members who said the candidate, the supposed candidate of ACT Wazalendo, the one Luhaga Mpina, who moved from CCM to Chadema, the member of ACT said, moved from ACT to Chadema to CCM to ACT. The member said,
you have a question.
And he took that, he wrote a letter to the political party saying the due process within the party was not followed. So it was not even CCM, it is something from within the opposition. The ACT Wazalendo member, a very senior member of ACT Wazalendo, who said the party procedures were not followed. So it is not even CCM. And Tundu Lissu, the opposition who we are all saying was taken to jail, he was contested in the party with Chadema, with the former Chadema chairman, Freeman Boy, in the internal election. And I think he won by about 6%. So it is almost half the member of Chadema did not vote for Tundu Lissu. So it's not even popular within his own party. That is what people do not say. That is what you don't see in the discussion. That is how the Chadema, some member of Chadema, including the Deputy Secretary General, the elector of election, etc., they moved to another opposition party because they did not feel like they're still welcomed in Chadema after the ouster of Freeman Boy. So when in your own party, you win by almost 2%,
right,
it means you are not that popular, even within your party.
Okay, Ezekiel. Ezekiel, allow me to cut.
Let me finish. Yes.
Allow me to cut you short. But the question I asked is that how unique was the campaigns in Tanzania? Perhaps certain things that we as Kenyans did not see on this other side.
Yes. That's what I wanted to make this clear, because this has been repeated that Samia is through, there's no election, opposition of a band. That's why I wanted to put this clear first. Now, the uniqueness of this year's election was the fact that for the first time since we started the multi-party democracy, that is 80 years back, we have an election where the opposition, the main opposition party, is not participating. So it was like CCM all over the place because there is no really opposition. But again, I keep on saying maybe the issue in Tanzania is that we do not have a figure like Raila Odinga in our policy, because I think in Kenya, Odinga could have maybe not contesting some election, because maybe say, okay, I participate in this election, maybe my win was stolen, or maybe some constitutional issues are not there. But I think in Kenya, the Rutos, the Odingas, they keep on pushing, they keep on participating until they win the election. So for us, I think maybe that's the lesson to it. Maybe in Tanzania, we need a figure that will really unite the opposition, the figure that will really unite the people, the people across the divides, because the opposition in Tanzania is really divided. In my time, and I've been a journalist for over 20 years, this is the moment where the opposition is really divided. You cannot even have a meeting of the opposition party in Tanzania to sit and say, okay, let us unite and do this, because of the division even within the opposition. So for me, the unique party is that it was only the CCM which was campaigning. These opposition parties that participated in this election were really small parties. But again, the constitution allows us to have election every 5 years. It is the duty of political parties to make sure that in 5 years' time, they put themselves in a situation where they can really challenge CCM. And it is not the duty of CCM to make sure that the opposition is strong enough to take it out of power.
Okay. Thank you. Let me come back to you, Dr. Faraja, in 1 minute. Again, let me ask you, Dr. When Mheshimiwa Hassan started her tenure, she started by undoing some of the policies during Magufuli's regime, the kind of authoritarian and probably repressive kind of policies. And she also embraced the opposition. But later on, we've seen that she's backtracked. And now opposition leaders are crying foul, and some of them are not going to the election. What did you say this kind of politics is?
I think by the time Samia took power from Magufuli, after the sudden death of Magufuli, she thought maybe she could change the situation, because people were complaining about the autocratic rule of the former president, Dr. Magufuli. Unfortunately, she was also surrounded by the same people who surrounded the former president, Magufuli. Yeah. And we believe maybe they told her that with this way of ruling, you won't govern these people. You need to be powerful. You need to be strong. Don't allow the motherly love in politics. That's at home. That's not in politics. And the other thing that we presume is that she found herself at the crossroad. She couldn't know what to do with the opposition. So she sought some advice from the senior cadres, or the senior politicians, or the senior intelligence people in the system. And we believe they are the ones who told him that you should use a strong hand to govern these people. Otherwise, the opposition politicians will always will create more havoc into your administration, and you will never find comfortable ruling this government. One is because of the bias. The Tanzanians thought she is a female president, so she might not fit into the patriarchal dominant politics. But the other thing, she comes from Zanzibar, and the majority are from Tanzania mainland. They might not show clearly or openly that they were not happy with her, but even within her party, CCM, there were some groups of the members who were not comfortable having her as the candidate, having her as the president. So you can even follow the stories about Pole Pole and the team. They were not always happy to see her ascending into power as the president. They wished to see there was a re-election after the passing of Magufuli. So this situation within her party, and the situation within the government, and the situation within the country, it might have pushed her to become such an authoritarian president. And maybe, unfortunately, we can say it has the approach that she took has almost damaged her acceptance to the public. Many Tanzanians, not only the opposition, as Ezekiel is pointing out, even ordinary citizens consider her to be more authoritarian this time than she started in 2021 when she assumed into power. So these are the challenges that we have observed. And maybe the situation and the environment that she found herself in have pushed her to be in like she has been acting now. But now the problem is people are not happy the way she has been dealing with the opposition, the way she has been dealing with the people who have been criticizing her. Abductions, forced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. These are the things that have damaged her rule, her administration so much than it could have happened if she could have left them criticizing her without abducting them, without causing more harm to the opposition politicians.
Okay.
Her image, her reputation could have retained without even taking too much force into the opposition.
Thank you. I have one of my guests here has a question for you. Professor Alfred Omenya has a question for you. Prof, probably you can ask Daktari.
Yeah, I hope we're still connected there.
Yeah, we are good to go.
Yeah. There's this opinion, and I think your colleague highlighted that these problems that we're seeing in Tanzania, it is the opposition to blame. That is actually one issue. That is it really true that the opposition is the problem so that in these sham elections, or is it the other way around, that government has made the space impossible for the oxygen that we need for competitive democracy to thrive? That I think is something that's concerning. Are people actually believing that the situation currently, in terms of this process that we've seen of repression, of fear, of lack of space for people to express for themselves, that actually the problem in Tanzania is the opposition, and the opposition are trying to create instability, including Tundu Lissu, who has been locked up there, that they're indeed the problem, and the problem is not the government. The government of Tanzania is trying, to ensure that we actually have national unity.
Okay, this we can say there are several aspects we can consider objectively. One, we can say is the opposition to be blamed. In one aspect, they are not ready to unite. They are not ready to put together their ideologies and to stand for the common ideologies, to make them strong. That's one. But secondly, you see, doing politics in Tanzania is costly. You need resources. You need human resources. You need capable people, influential people who can convince the public that they are also capable to be an alternative to CCM. And so that is to blame the opposition themselves, that they are not ready. It seems like they are selfish, or it seems like they are divided in terms of interest. Now, for a country like Tanzania to have 18 opposition parties is something ridiculous. You wouldn't expect that thing to happen if really we want to build a democratic society or a democratic nation. So we have multiple political parties that all wish to oppose the ruling party CCM. So that one, we should blame the opposition parties for not being ready to unite, for not being ready to work jointly, to have concerted efforts to democratize the country. That's one. But secondly, we shouldn't also ignore the role of the government and the machinery. It's the machinery in dividing the opposition. For many years, we have this concept that behind all these things that are happening in the opposition parties, there is power behind that control the opposition parties. And the power seems to come from the government itself. It doesn't want to see the opposition parties grow and become stronger, because that will become a threat to the existence of the ruling party that forms the government for many years since independence. So that's the second issue. But thirdly, in Tanzania, we see this situation happening so often that the ruling party has an advantage of having the middle class, has an advantage of having majority of the elite. It has an advantage of having the senior politicians joining the ruling party. So you will see the distinction. The opposition parties do not have strong candidates, strong politicians who can attract the public, who can attract the support of the majority Tanzanians, because they don't have resources, they are not powerful in terms of academic qualifications. So you see, the oppositions will always attract the lower class citizens who cannot emerge to become one of the promising politicians in future. As Ezekiel said, in Kenya it's different from our situation. For us, you will find the elite, the powerful business persons, the senior politicians, the academia are all joining CCM for thinking that potentially they can be appointed, potentially they can grow their businesses, potentially they can benefit from the government resources, and that's why they think, one, they associate themselves with the ruling party. There are more benefits attached to that. And that's why you see CCM will always emerge as the strong party because of the human resources it has compared to the opposition parties that will always struggle to get strong politicians until during the internal factions within the CCM is where now some of the CCM cadres will defect into the opposition.
Dr. Thank you. Allow me to ask this question. Dr. What is the total number of registered voters do we have in Tanzania?
The total number of?
Registered voters.
37 million. It is 37 million.
Excuse me?
It is 37 million, 37.
37 million.
Yes.
Okay. The last question I want to ask you, observer bodies have raised concern and some of them actually pulled out of observing the elections. Does this really worry you as a citizen? Okay. I think we've lost Ezekiel?
Is this for Faraja or for me?
Ezekiel, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So, can you repeat the question?
We have got electoral observer bodies who've pulled out of that exercise. Does this really worry you?
Yes. No, not at all. Not at all. Because they were not really specific on what reason they gave out not to do the observation. And I think if you ask a lot of people in our country, the real issue of election observation, I think as a lot, it's aura that it had in the past. I think now they're just people, they come here, they do observation, and you can't really find a place where the election observation has made a real impact in democracy in a country, especially in our continent. So I think people think too much about it.
All right.
And then the professor, I'm happy to have the professor there. I want to elaborate on the last question that you asked Dr. Faraja on the changes that has happened in Tanzania, especially after Samia came to power. And I think the professor is aware of the term the political scientists are now using, the issue of democracy backsliding, where sometimes when you come to power, after the authoritarian rulers has left, it is very, very difficult to return to where it was. So President Samia came to power in 2021 after President Magufuli, who was the authoritarian. So the Tanzanians did not vote for President Samia in 2021. They voted for Magufuli. And one of the reasons as to why democracy backslides after the authoritarian rule is because there's a lot of what we call the remnants of the previous regime who are there. So it was a delicate balance for President Samia to first make happy that ecosystem that we found when she got to power, and then to also make connection or return our country to the way it were, especially maybe during President Kikwete. So he has also to make arrangement with the opposition to meet them. And I think one of the things that I also think the opposition got wrong is when President Samia came to power, she started what she called 4R, one of the things of the reconciliation and reforms. And she wanted really to meet with the opposition. And I think Tundu Lissu was living in exile in Belgium. And President Samia, when she traveled to Brussels, she met Lissu there.
Okay.
And Lissu gave President Samia 5 demands for him to for a country to stand to where. And President Samia did 4 of those demands from Lissu. One thing that remained was the issue of the constitutional reforms. And they decided that Tundu Lissu came back to Tanzania with other exiles, and then we can really start to debate about the point. Now, the problem that happened, Professor, is that when Lissu came back to Tanzania, he wanted to be the chairman of his ruling party. And at that time, the people, the populist part of the Chadema, I think the party with a lot of activists, they did not want Mbowe. Mbowe was the former chairman, because they thought Mbowe was a sellout, because Mbowe now was talking with the President Samia.
Okay.
You know about
okay. Ezekiel, I'll have to cut you short. I'll have to cut you short.
Yes.
Basically, I have to cut you short and then let you go. I wish you all the best, gentlemen. I know it's going to be a very tough exercise for Tanzania, but we wish you all the best. When Tanzania wins, of course, it's going to have that triple effect in the East Africa community and Africa in general. Dr. Ezekiel Kamwaga, who's a Tanzanian journalist and political analyst, as well as Dr. Faraja Chris Tamus, who is a lecturer and political analyst, University of Dar es Salaam. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Okay, now let's take a break, and we come back. We're still going to continue with our discussion here in studio. Stay with us.
Bali wewe ni mwizi na mchawi.
China sana.
Kuja. Na wewe kama wewe ni mwanaume kuja. Kama Elijah ukota panga lako. Ukota. Ha? Hebu wewe umevua. Hebu niangalie. Haya, umevua belt, nenda. Kwenda. Wewe.
Wasamee. Wakirudia tena. Weke ndani hata wiki moja.
Mimi nikiwaachilia wataona mimi nafanya mchezo.
Dadi yako?
Kazi ndio mingi.
Kwani dadi hatupendi?
Wananiita gundu wakita Friday night again.
Greetings in the name of the Most High Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice, we
have to do it twice.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima
tunaangazia ufugaji wa ng'ombe wa maziwa.
Ng'ombe ni kama mwanadamu. Utamuona ukija kuwaona wanatabasamu, ama ukija unaona wanakuja wanataka kusalimu, ama unaona sura yao. Ukiona sura imekunjana, unaona amedhoofika ama hana furaha, utajua huyu ng'ombe ni mgonjwa. Ni rahisi sana kugundua ng'ombe mgonjwa na yule si mgonjwa, kwa sababu wana mingi wao utabasamu. Hata wakilala unaona wana chew card, ile wazungu wanasema wana chew card. Unaona anachangamka.
Kisha matumizi ya biogas.
Tazama Mkulima kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1
kwa uhondo kamili.
All right, welcome back. Okay, so we are just having behind-the-scenes conversation here. And Mwalimu Sossion, you've raised a very important point, raising or just deriving it from what's happening in Tanzania and where we are. Democracy is built over time. And it takes a very strong leader and a nation to build its strength and foundation of a democratic space that they want to enjoy. It's basically comes from the leadership. Correct.
Yes, yeah. Democracy is always traced to strong leaders, and it takes a leader to facilitate democracy. The first president in Africa to step down from office was Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. And he established a 10-year term limit in Tanzania and started propagating democratic practices, which I think it has been lost in Tanzania. It's a very sad situation, and Tanzanians must accept. And if Nyerere was to resurrect today, he will shed tears from what is happening. You can't arrest people. You allow democracy. A country belongs to people. And you must allow perpetuity of good practices for the good of people. That was the vision of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. If Nyerere did not step down, we wouldn't have had Hassan Mwinyi, Mkapa, Benjamin Mkapa, and all the others taking leadership, and Kikwete and the rest. Here in Kenya, it took Moi. Remember, multipartyism was sealed by President Kenyatta in 1963 through the merger. And President Kenyatta never allowed multipartyism. Moi had a vision of a united country.
But that after a very long struggle.
Through one party, but through struggles, Moi himself declared that let the country go the multi-party and repealed Section 2A. It is Moi who pronounced the repeal of Section 2A at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, in a KANU Delegates Conference that led the country go multi-party. The rest then is history. We saw the first multi-party elections in 1992, and we saw Jaramogi. Anybody who wanted to be on the ballot was on the ballot. And we saw a repeat of the same in 1997, and Moi borrowing from Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, retired and stepped down in 2002 and inspected his last parade from the military. And we saw him hand over to the opposition leader, at that time Kibaki. And remember, Kibaki was elected when he was partially unconscious on a wheelchair by Kenyans. And respectfully, Moi handed over power, not behind the scenes, but at Uhuru Park in broad daylight, and took his chopper from State House to Kabarak. Those are the decent politics we need to practice. And Moi continued to respect Kibaki, though he was a leader from the opposition who became president. And that is the tradition, the democratic ideals that must be preserved. We saw Uhuru backing Raila, but William Ruto was elected. But you see, with time, is a mutual respect and respect for the sovereign decision and the will of the people. And people don't need to struggle.
Allow me to bring you, Gaston. This one also requires a collective responsibility. I like the way Mwalimu has given us back the history. Kenya democracy is one of the best. I mean, from independence up to now, the constitution that we have, it's quite interesting that even across our borders, they're still talking the name of Raila Odinga. I mean, that name is not going to leave stage for quite some time because of the progresses that the country has made. But when you look at the kind of space that, for example, Tanzania is working on currently, what do you think is going to happen, even after the election? The opposition leaders, they are, freed, the charges are dropped, they are back to politics. What is going to be the political atmosphere then after their release, or even after the election and the president is sworn in?
I think, as I said, it requires a lot of work and time. As Mwalimu said, it requires a leader to try to put people together and allow the oppositions to run election the way it's supposed to be. And to correct the mistakes, which was done in the past. Because right now, there's nothing we can do. There will be elections, I think, today, tomorrow. And then after that, whoever wins, the winner will be pronounced, and then life goes on. I think we all now trying to keep the opportunities to copy from Kenya. As I said, I will give an example of back home in the DRC. We have seen the power from the former president to an opposition leader, which comes from the former president of the DRC, President Joseph Kabila, to the current president, President Tshisekedi, Felix. So it's something that almost probably what Mwalimu was just raising now. We have seen it as well, and this comes also from Kenya, because I think some of the talk happened here in Kenya before the elections. We're thinking that whatever is done today in Tanzania, it already happened. What should we do? I think the Eastern African communities and SADC could sit together and try to correct the mistake which has happened of putting in jail the opposition man. Because from where I'm coming from, there's a man from the opposition who's running the country now for 10 years. We're going to 10 years. President Tshisekedi was a leader of the opposition. So he got power from the ruling party, which was the former president, Joseph Kabila. So for us, it's something that we are coping, and we wish to see what's happening in Kenya between President Uhuru Kenyatta, former President Uhuru Kenyatta, and President Ruto. And the proud that they have given to us today to see that a leader of the opposition has been buried with honor. So we all glad on this. We haven't seen this elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Except in Kenya. So
it took time, blood and sweat for us to get there.
We have been here for that, so we know what this takes. We need a leader to try to correct this and try to put people together in the same table, especially the Eastern African communities. They must be united. We must be looking at one another in the eyes and tell each other the truth.
Okay.
So that Africa can be a better place for all.
Prof, you asked a question, and basically you wanted to get to understand whether it is the opposition that is, causing the chaos, and is it something that is, we are not being told something. But then when you look at it this way, Kenya is also looking at the election in Tanzania with a lot of keen interest. Yesterday, the newspaper said that Tanzania's economy has given us a beating somehow, and Kenya is lagging behind Tanzania. So must we be worried about it as a nation as well?
Yes, of course, we need to be worried. I really be concerned for the broader stability of the region. Of course, to put things in context, some of these things, if somebody told you, for example, that the US economy grew by 0.1%, it doesn't mean that your Banana Republic economy that grew by 5% now is better.
Yeah.
Those economies are different. Their complexities, their sizes, the capacity is very different. And yes, I mean, whatever is what, Tanzania, we are happy when Tanzanian economy is growing. But those are rates. We are not talking about the size of the economy. Tanzania's economy still remains, a very small fraction of the Kenyan economy, actually, to be. So that, for me, that's not where to compete. For me, what becomes important is what we're discussing here. That what do we need as our countries to be able to achieve long-term sustainable progress, both social and economic, for our people.
Yeah.
And to me, this is one of the major challenges that we actually have. We are moving forward as we're discussing here, and there's bits of stability that's coming in, and we must ask ourselves, what is the cause of that stability? And if you are to look at it at the core of it, in fact, if you flip it, what's the cause of instability in the region? The cause of instability in the region is not even democracy. It is lack of self-determination. It is when a people feel that they are threatened, that they have no space to air their voices, that they have no space to self-actualize. That is really what the problem is.
Yeah.
And how then do you ensure that self-determination is protected? It means that every single person should be given space. In fact, for me, I have no problem. If you have a party that only has 2 followers, as long as those 2 followers have been given space. And their voice can be heard, and they're allowed to compete with everyone, whether it's majority, whether it's ethnic groups, and so on. The problem globally, not just here, has always been, suppressing people so that they do not have a voice. And we've seen those in Bosnia. We've seen those things even currently in the Ukraine war and so on. We've seen these in terrorism in the Gulf area. We've seen this in Southern Sudan. And it's not just majority. In fact, sometimes minorities, when they're suppressed, can cause a lot of problems and instability in countries. And it requires very mature leadership that then says, okay, fine. And that's why we like democracy. Democracy sometimes doesn't deliver the quick progress. But what it does is that it creates space for all of us to be able to then have a voice. And to me, that this democracy and the institutions thereof is what then creates a stable environment upon which we can actually have socio-economic progress. Repression, without these fundamentals, is sowing seed for instability. You can be as repressive as you want. You can win as many elections as you want. But what you're doing to your country is creating instability. We have great leaders like Mandela. What did they do? They ensured that even the oppressor was given space to express themselves. If you look at even people like Garang here in Southern Sudan, how was Sudan becoming stable? Because everybody was being given space, despite the difficulties that we had around that time. The examples that Mwalimu has given here, I don't have to like you for you to actually have space to express your own self-determination. And yes, I'll defeat you because I've got many more voters. But that doesn't give me the license to oppress you, to deny you voice. And anybody denied voice, and this is a message to our Tanzanian brothers. You can think that you're oppressing Tundu Lissu and Chadema, but you're actually creating instability for the entire Tanzania. It doesn't matter the number of their followers.
Okay, I want us to come back home, Sosion. Mheshimiwa, let's talk about home. I think this discussion is getting sweeter and sweeter as we continue.
Allow me to...
It gets sweeter towards the end.
Allow me to...
Karumo, you understand? All right.
To make an intervention on this.
As you do that, you also bring us back home. State of the Nation in 1-2 minutes, because you only have like 5 minutes to go. Go ahead.
Yes, I think we are discussing the state of politics in the East African community. And East African community integration is a process that has taken time. From the economic integration, free movement of goods and services and labor, and now the next is getting a common currency and political federation. So for us to achieve both the common currency and political federation, then we must equalize the democratic practices across the region so that we can give stability. And therefore, promoting democracy and the sovereign will of the people in all the member states is key. If we have to extricate poverty from all these countries, then we must promote democracy. Democracy, true democracy, is the only route of social and economic equality. And I think Kenya has achieved a state of pursuing the route of social democratic equality as a country. And the rest of the member states in East Africa, they and authorities must promote democracy. This business of arresting strong opposition leaders should cease. It is not good for the integration of East Africa, particularly when you are looking at a strong political, economic future of the region. So that then the combined economy can be useful and can be a strong bloc that can transform the region. So what is happening in Tanzania is sad. When you arrest a leader, when you repress voices, other democratic voices, arrest leaders, then you are ruining the country slowly. The same case in Uganda. We've seen South Sudan after the killing of Garang. There has never been peace. We can't say either there is peace in DR Congo. And that is its homework for the leaders. And I still say it takes a leader to provide that. We're waiting for a leader who will lead the East African region into a very serious social democratic region where there is no poverty and people are living within the space of prosperity.
Perhaps you can also copy what happened in Malawi between Chakwera and former President Mutharika, who came back.
You see, what we are also seeing, there are some economies where economies have collapsed completely.
Exactly.
Where economies have collapsed, where the democracy has collapsed, and we see this interchange. We can't say that's democracy. Good democracy go hand in hand with tangible indicators of a growing and a stable economy. They go together. But where an economy collapses and it leads to a regime change, it's not correct. And I think as a region and even as a country back home here, we must be able to match democratic growth with economic growth. They must go together. They're inextricably bound together and intertwined. We should be able to see what we are doing in infrastructure, real infrastructure. We should be able to see what we are doing in the healthcare system. We should be able to see what we are doing in terms of education. It's a right, it's a social service for all households. We should be able to see what we are doing in terms of food security and generally the economy. There must be indicators towards that. And marching together with the democratic practices and tolerance. We must learn to be tolerant. The problem that we have in Africa is intolerant leadership. Leadership that does not tolerate opponents. And I think the culture that is in Kenya is worth emulating.
The culture is okay. Mheshimiwa, thank you for that. I love the way you summarized it. The social, the democratic space and the economic space must be given time to go hand in hand. Gaston, finally, allow me to ask you this question. We are seeing a situation, again, I asked a question in Malawi, where the former president, Chakwera, came back, 85-year-old, former president coming back again, and there was a smooth transfer of power. We didn't hear of whatever is happening, whatever happened, even during the elections. So how do we, as Africa, copy each other and copy these good manners, politically speaking, for the growth of the people?
I think that depending on the people and the citizens, what if they decided. So if the citizens feel like the former one was doing very good, I think they've got their right to vote for who they want. So as you say, democracy, it didn't come via weapons, via coup d'etat, but it came back via elections. So we cannot condemn that. I think if for them it can be something that's going to help the citizen, I think it was a very good choice. It was a very good choice for the Malawian. At least it was not being jailed as well. It was not being condemned somehow. You know, I think for me, I will stand with him because he came back. The people have good memory about him, then they vote for him. So if they didn't have a good memory about him, they'll have not vote for him.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. I think that they express their democracy in good way.
All right. We wish them all the best. And of course, moving forward, we'll be waiting to see how it goes. I asked a question, how it's going to be even after the elections and whether the case will be dropped or the country will just go the way it is. All right, so thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, even with the gentleman who joined us on Zoom from Tanzania. Asante sana. So this is where we take a wrap. At this point, 37 million Tanzanians going to the election today. We'll wish them all the best. Professor Alfredo Menya, asante sana. He is a principal researcher and a consultant. Wilson Sosion is a former NAT Secgen and nominated member of parliament. Asante sana for coming. And Gaston Fumu, who is a young Congolese political leader and party leader, Generation 4. Asante sana for coming. All right, so that's where we take a wrap on this show. My name is Victor Lo. Good morning.